Tucked away in the Bevo Mill neighborhood, you'll find some of the tiniest, larger-than-life objects. Colonial furniture, a haunted mansion, charcuterie boards, a pinball machine. The Miniature Museum of Greater St. Louis has it all, although if you don't look close enough, you might miss it.
They can appeal to all ages, all genders. There's no limit.
The museum houses thousands of miniature items throughout their 2 floors of exhibit space. But it's not the quantity that attracts the visitors. For miniatures, the appeal is all in the detail.
I've been interested in miniatures since I was a child. I had my childhood dollhouse. And then I decided I was going to build a dollhouse in 1980, and I brought it out of the basement in 99. It took me that long.
Faye Zerbolio has been on the Miniature Museum's board since the early 90s, and as she mentioned, it was her own hobby that sparked her involvement. The museum's board was created in 1989, but it was in 2000 that Faye and her husband bought the building on the corner of Gravois and Delore and transformed it into the museum people visit today.
My husband is my builder. He retired at exactly the same time as we bought the building. And so he needed something to do, and we found it. And he's also the builder for the museum. He's built a lot of the display cases and tray and tables and the covers and everything.
These are 2 houses, this one and this one, that were made by the same pair and donated to the museum and lit the same way. You can see what happens with their lighting. You'll notice that you can't see deep into the rooms because there isn't a sufficient amount of light. What we do here is something that we call front edge lighting. We use LEDs. And the difference between this and this, which is one that we have relighted, is patently obvious.
So this front edge LED lighting is a standout feature that makes this museum different than other miniature museums. But there are some other components to the museum that also make it unique. Intricate lighting is a subtle detail that Dominic says makes a big difference in the quality of a miniature display. Like this jukebox or this fireplace.
I haven't seen anybody who builds fireplaces the way we do.
The display cases, also made by Dominic, are tailor-made at the museum to make it easier for custom lighting. The museum also offers classes that demonstrate these lighting techniques, in addition to occasional sales, shows, and other events. But aside from these technical aspects, the museum is unique in that every single miniature item displayed has been donated, either from hobbyists or professional artisans that want their work to be enjoyed by others.
Well, we're run by all volunteers. There's not a paid person on our staff. And it's an effort to get people to volunteer and fill the slots, but we've managed so far.
Meg Dietrich started as a volunteer, but her involvement has grown to serve as the current treasurer of the board.
When my daughter was born, I kind of felt like I was justified in pursuing this interest in miniatures, which started with my mother, who collected a box of little treasures. Maybe they were Cracker Jack toys. You know, they weren't anything special, but to her they were special.
Yeah, so it's not anything new. Miniatures have been around forever.
And when you think about it, toys, in all their aspects, a lot of toys are small items for small hands. So miniatures have been around since, the Egyptian mummies probably, yeah. Miniatures are some of them very expensive, very well made, but there are also some miniatures that are geared to children, that are meant to be toys and played with and, to help them grow into being an adult.
And in fact, one of the first purposes of miniatures was to teach young girls how to maintain a household. But of course, the hobby has evolved. This article from Popular Science claims 2020 was the year of miniatures. And anyone who watches TikTok or shops on Etsy would probably agree. People are captivated by the detailed process of creating such lifelike objects. On the other hand, you have some people who fall into what is referred to as the uncanny valley. This term, although commonly used to describe reactions to robots, refers to when an object appears too lifelike and it causes people to feel uneasy or creeped out. I'm wondering, is the goal to have people question, is that real?
I don't know. My dollhouse is clean. A lot of miniaturists are authentic. They want to have their houses look dusty and dirty and worn, and they will sand the steps down to have it look like a worn. But my house was always like that with the kids, and so I wanted to have my dollhouse was not going to have clothes all over the floor and things hanging out of drawers.
So maybe for some, it's to create realistic replicas. And maybe for others, it's to create something they otherwise wouldn't have, like a clean and tidy house. Whatever the goal is, sometimes it's just nice to appreciate the little things. For Living St. Louis, I'm Brooke Butler.